talented martial arts teachers in our time. One of the greatest was Soke Shogo Kuniba. And today we're going to hear from one of his close personal students on his experiences with the master on black belt life. Welcome to Black Belt Life. I'm your host, Darren Myers, and I want to take a quick moment just to say thank you to all of our subscribers and all of you who have viewed a bunch of our shows. I really appreciate your interest and time to view our content. And if you haven't subscribed yet, hit that subscribe button right down there so you don't miss an episode. Also today, we're going to have our live chat open so that you can ask our today's guest any questions directly to him. So without further ado, let's go back to the 1980s. And I think the first time I met this man, I believe he was a yellow belt. And today, he is the backbone, the knowledge base for Kuniba Kai International. He's an 8th degree black belt and serves as the worldwide technical director for the organization under Soke Shogo Kuniba, the son of the late Soke Shogo Kuniba. Please welcome my good friend Hanshi Louis Estes. Hi, Hanshi.
Hey, thank you for that great introduction. That's awesome.
Well, got to do it for a great man, that's for sure. So thank you so much for joining us here today. I think I've already given away how long we've known each other and about how long you've been studying martial arts. I always love to ask the question because I get such great stories. How'd you get into karate? How'd you get started?
Well, that is interesting, but it goes back. I had joined the military when I got out of high school, and then I met a gentleman when I was in the military that worked for a television production company down in this area. So when I left the military, he said, "Hey, we're looking for somebody to come and work, and learn and so forth under, some of the people here." And I said, "Yeah, sure, I'll come and learn." So I came down here, got a job, and so I worked for this television production company, and I was, again, a young guy just learning, getting my feet wet, that kind of thing. And there was a gentleman named Kevin Thompson, and he happened to practice karate at the time. And so he sold equipment to the company that I worked for. And so he was there one day, and he said, "Hey, Louis, there's this Japanese karate master. He's coming to the karate school here that Shihan James Herndon owned at the time in Chesapeake, Virginia." And he said, "Hey, why don't you come and see this, man? You want to come and check it out?" And I was like, well, I mean, I don't really know anything about it. I was more like, okay, I'd seen Kung Fu theater when I was a kid, and that's the only thing I knew about martial arts, nothing else. And that was it. I knew it was cool and sound effects and all that. So I said, sure. I'd always been a pretty good athlete and played football and ran track and stuff like that when I was in high school. So I was looking for something to do, to stay athletic. So I said, yeah. And I went there that night and said, hey, I'll check it out and see what's going on. So I remember going there, and this dojo was in Chesapeake, Virginia. James Herndon was the Shihan. He was the owner of the dojo. And it so turned out there was a lot of real high-level great guys that would come out of that dojo. But so I went there, and this little Japanese man came out. He wasn't very big, I'm going to guess 5'6", 138 pounds, something. I was like, wow, this guy, he's going to be this great, martial arts guy. He's not very big. That's just the first thing that came to mind to me, And once he started, man, I was like, wow, I have never seen anything like this in my life. The speed with which this guy moved and the grace and the elegance. I'd seen some of the Bruce Lee movies, too. And, that was just great, because when you watch him, you're like, wow, how can anyone move so fast and do so many great things? And Soke was like this. He just had this speed and elegance and grace and power. And I was like, man, I got to sign up and do this. I have to do it. So I told Kevin, yeah, I'll do this. So Soke stayed there about a week or so. He was touring the United States from Japan. He still lived in Japan at the time. So he left and went back, and so I went to Shihan James Herndon's dojo, and that's where I began my training. And I was there probably about a year. Lots of great guys, like Sensei Mike Doyle and Mark Boyette. And those guys came from there, and it was amazing. Kevin Thompson, another guy named John Flynn, he was outstanding. And so I was just lucky enough to get involved with these guys at the time and learn. You know, I was the last guy in the back of the line in the back of class. And that's kind of how it started. But yeah, it was amazing. And I do remember, like you said, when you met me, I was there at that dojo. I was a yellow belt. Soke came back for summer Shugyo clinic training. And so we trained there. And we actually, the dojo was so small, we couldn't really train all the people inside. So we went outside into the parking lot on the pavement.
Oh, yeah.
So you'll remember this.
Oh, yeah.
It was summertime. I mean, it was hot. The pavement was hot. And we practiced on the pavement all day. My feet, you know, my feet weren't toughened up and stuff. My feet were so raw and blisters and everything after 2 days. And I was like, yeah, I still want to do it. But again, like I said, you know, that's kind of how I got going.
Yeah. Boy, those are good old days, that's for sure. I do remember those outside training sessions in the summer.
Yeah.
Man, they were interesting. So, what was it like? Soke Kuniba opened his dojo, and then you went and became a student of his. What was it like training with Soke?
Yeah, again, that was interesting. Like I said, I was at Shihan Herndon's dojo, and then Keith Thompson broke off of that and kind of started his own dojo. So because he was my first guy that got me going, I left and went and trained with him a little bit. And then Soke came back again to the United States, and he came and he visited, you know, Kevin's dojo, and I was like, wow, this guy is awesome. And then at the time, he said, hey, I'm going to be starting a dojo here. And I was like, really? I was thinking to myself, this is unbelievable. And so he ended up going to Portsmouth, Virginia, and he started a dojo there. And day one, I was there, and he didn't know me like personally, other than hi, hello, how are you? And he recognized my face, and I went there, and he was like, oh, you know, so happy to have you, and this kind of thing. And I was like, wow, this is great. And he had a couple of Shihans that were with him, Shihan Kobayashi and some of these guys. I was like, yeah, this is what I want to do. So I just started going there. And, you know, I spent really 10 years there at that time with him. And he became like my second father. That's really how it was. You know, I was there. At that time, I didn't travel for work or anything like that. So I was always there. At his house, at the dojo. You know, I'm sure, you know, his wife Judy Kuniba was like, you know, these guys, I wish you'd get out of my house sometimes. We were always,
Probably, yeah.
we were always there. She was always so gracious and good to us. And I think she knew just how much, you know, he loved us. But like I said, he was a second father to me. And not just martial arts, but teaching me how to grow up and be a man, and just things that you need to do in life, and how to help other people, and how to be a good person. So that was a great part of it, mentoring that, you know, I needed at that time, that really helped me. You know, I didn't have a lot of money or anything. I never paid a dime for martial arts training there in my life.
Wow.
All he expected from me was to come there, practice hard, and help teach the classes, and then practice hard again.
Yeah.
And that's all he ever asked for me. Never asked for anything else from me. And, you know, I'm very gracious for that. You know, it's outstanding. And at the time, you know, I didn't realize, you know, what a great martial artist he was and how famous he was and that kind of thing. I knew he was really good and famous, but not like that. And so, yeah, to be able to be with him every day and practice and train and learn and listen and hear and experience what he had to give was tremendous. And again, like I said, his guys that were really close to him, it was really about family. He always said, dojo is family.
Right.
And, you know, once, you know, I finally got my black belt and so forth there, like we would finish class at night and we'd always go to like the Pizza Hut. That was his big thing. He liked to go to the Pizza Hut. He's the only man I ever knew that had a Pizza Hut gold card.
Yeah, that's right.
Where you got that
I
from?
forgot about that.
he had a Pizza Hut Gold card, and
Yeah.
you'd go there and get this big percentage off, and all the people knew him. And the thing about him, everywhere he went, he was just like a magnet, man. People didn't know he was a martial arts teacher or whatever. They're like, just what a nice man this guy is, and
Right.
everybody wanted to be around him. Everybody wanted to talk to him. Everyone wanted to laugh with him. He laughed a lot, and he liked that, and he loved that after the dojo training, just the family atmosphere of going and, okay, I'm going to have a beer with the guys and eat this pizza and talk and laugh. And I think he loved that so much. And I think kind of him being in the U.S., he liked that portion of it. Kind of when he was in Japan, everything was so formal because when he went somewhere, everybody was bowing down, giving him this, doing that. Yes, sir. No, sir. Us. He couldn't he could never relax because he was always the Soke, and
Right.
there was all these high-level Shihans and people, they were just constantly raising him up, which was deserved, but he really enjoyed just being a regular guy too. So it was amazing.
You-
So
All right, I'm losing your audio here. I don't know if it's just me or if it's everything, but anyway.
okay, do you hear me now?
Yeah, now I hear you. Okay, good. Okay.
Okay,
Um,
outstanding.
yeah, being with him, like you said, it was like having a second father, and I mean the experiences, the life lessons and things. What do you think was one of the greatest lessons you gained from him?
Hmm. Again, that's probably to pick one thing is pretty hard
Yeah,
because there were so many.
absolutely.
He again, like I said, just he was such a mentor, and he just taught me, really how to be a man and to be caring about other people. But also, he taught me, things are hard. This practice is going to be hard. I'm not going to be easy on you. You have to work hard. You have to do your best all the time. And that's what he expected. And so, sometimes if we would slack a little bit or things like that, then, he was stern,
Right.
with us at times. Um, and like when we practiced at the dojo, it was very different than like when he would have clinics and things like that. Sometimes I would be amazed. I was like, wow, we go to these clinics and we teach and all this. I go, this is so different than what happens to me every night when I'm at the dojo.
Right.
And but it was like I said, this sternness and this uh, caring and concern. These things. They help me in everything I do. It helped me in my personal life. It helped me in my professional life. I wouldn't be anywhere I am today without his guidance. So it's really those things. The martial arts are great, but they're probably secondary to what he taught me just in life.
Yeah. But such an amazing person, and like you said, his personality just exuded from him. Made such a great heart, and so many wonderful life lessons from him. Now you, of course, trained with him all the time, and your notoriety as becoming a great kata performer and a great analyzer of the bunkai and everything has earned you tremendous respect from many people all around the world. And you are the International Gijitsu Bucho, or Technical Director for Kuniba Kai. And so that's a big responsibility because you're helping members in about 20 countries learn the arts of Motobu Shito-Ryu, Kuniba Goshendo, Iaido, Kobudo. That's a huge responsibility for anyone. So, what are your thoughts these days on the spread of the Kuniba arts around the world?
Well, again, that's very interesting for sure. I think the thing is now, I kind of maybe realized, maybe when I was younger, my 30s or things like that, I was like, I have to go, after he passed away. I had a couple years where I kind of waned a little bit. I just kind of was a little lost because, again, like I said, my grandfather, who was the other person that was so close to me, passed away a month after Soke did. So my
Oh
real
wow,
two
didn't know that.
mentors in my life
Yeah.
who guided me and helped me into manhood and stuff, passed away back to back months. So I really had a struggle for a couple years of just getting focused on what I should be doing and how I should be doing it. So I think once I regained where I'm going to go, I was like, hey, I got to go change the world. But then reality set in. I was like, I'm only one person. I can't change the world. So I think the whole thing was like, okay, what I have to do is focus on, one student at a time, focus on my dojo, you and I getting together, making practice, getting the kata right, getting the philosophies, these things together so that there's more than one person teaching the system, and it's great. Like going to Israel, I've been there a couple times. The guys there are outstanding. So I like going and being able to work with the instructors and stuff that are in these countries. Sweden, great. I love those guys. When Sensei Giovanni was in Venezuela, going to these places where people are so hungry for the martial arts and so hungry to learn and gain the knowledge. I really enjoy doing that. I really enjoy teaching. When I was younger, until Soki passed away, I really loved competing and fighting and kata and doing tournaments and things like that. I really enjoyed that. I really, really did. After he passed away, that was it. I never competed or anything again. Again, because like I said, my mindset changed, my focus changed. All of a sudden, I was the person that had to answer all the questions. What does this mean? What is that kata? How do you do this bunkai? What's the answer to this? So that at first was a lot of responsibility. It took me a little while to get a handle on how to handle that. But I really just went back to what he said to me, the things he said to me, the things that he taught me, and reflected on those so that I would be able to, pass along the knowledge that he gave to me. So I think that's really the thing now is it's like he took the time, he passed the knowledge to me, the gift of this martial art. So I'm trying my best to pass it along as much as possible and to be a caretaker of it. Some people say to me, why do you need to know 80 kata and 20 sword kata and weapons kata and Goshendo kata? Maybe there's really no reason, to know every one of these, but it's information and techniques that he passed on to me that he wanted preserved and passed along.
Exactly.
And
Yep.
knowledge is power. So if you know these kata, you know these techniques, you understand weapons, you're better able to help other people. You're better able to analyze how to help other people and teach this system and carry it on. And so that's really the focus now. I'm not, when I was in my 30s and 20s, I could jump so high and move so fast. And now I'm 58 years old today, so a little bit of the physical, okay, jumping so high and running so fast, those skills go away as you become older, you know but
Yeah,
the
there's a good
knowledge
shot.
I have is more. Yeah, the knowledge is so much more. Taylor Edwards, he was a student
Yep.
a long
Yep.
time, colonel in the Air Force.
That's right.
So yeah, that was Dojo, that picture. So that was awesome. But jumping off the floor that high anymore, I don't think I could do that anymore. So,
I can still jump that high. I just
but
can't land.
but so I think it really comes down to now. I have this knowledge, I have this wisdom, I have these techniques, I have this understanding. I know what he wanted taught, how he wanted it taught, because he taught it to me every day. It's not secondhand. It's not someone said you do it like this. No, every day he told me what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. And a lot of times um, his talking was hard to understand sometimes because it was a broken English, and
Right.
from being around him. But the people who were around him could understand him very well because he had certain things he used or ways he used to describe things. So, he would go to a clinic and say something, and people would be like, "What did he say?" I go, "Oh, this is what he said. This is what he meant exactly." So there's a lot of questions, and things that I asked and was able to get understanding because he physically put his hands and showed me, where sometimes with the English translation to Japanese, a little bit of that was lost. And, it was like the development of the Goshendo. We were there doing that. Really where that came from, really the term was Goshin Budo was the early term for that. And a lot of people use that term and that terminology. Really where Goshendo came from was he would go to clinics, he would go to schools, he would go to places, and he would teach techniques to people. And what would happen is he would leave, and if he taught 10 things, somebody might remember one if they were lucky. Because the problem was they didn't have the basic foundation. Really, the Shito-Ryu Karate Do and the Kuniba Kai the Goshendo walk a very fine line touching each other. They blend together on this line.
That's a great.
So if you didn't study the
great way to
Shito-Ryu
describe it.
Karate Do, it's very difficult to just jump in and grab the Goshendo and go, "Oh yeah, I got that. I understand what you're talking about." So he said, "Well, no one's learning. No one can remember these techniques. So I want to make kata, or a system that people can practice, because like kata, you practice, you learn it, you have it, and you have some structure within which you can work on the techniques. You can do them at home on your own." So that's where the Goshendo came from. That's where the concept of it came from. Sensei Mark Boyette and Mike Doyle, Kozo Kuniba was there. We had what was called a Soke helper team. And so the Soke helper team, and occasionally you would come over and visit with us too.
Sure.
On these nights and practice. And so what would happen? He would put together the techniques during the day. We would get there at night. We would do the techniques. He'd go, that doesn't work so well. He would change them. He would organize them. He would make them different. Then we would put them into the kata, work them, blend them, and then he would go, "Okay, that's good. That's right. That's what I like." And so that's kind of the development of it, how it happened. Sensei Mark Boyette had a couple of series of self-defenses that he used against kicking, and one he uses against punching. And Soke saw these, and he liked how they flowed and worked and tied together. So he said, "Well, let me take pieces of these kind of things and add this within how we're going to do it." And so some of it came from trial and error with that. And one thing I think that's interesting too is that Soke changed a bit of this Goshendo and this martial arts, in that what happened is when he came from Japan, everybody was his size, okay? And when he came to the United States, okay, all of a sudden people are 6'5" and they weigh 300 pounds, and there's 240 and 6'2", and guys, are just much larger. So that some of the techniques that he was teaching and talking about didn't work as well against these large people. So he changed a bit of how he actually did the martial arts, So truly, even the Shito-Ryu now, okay, it's Motobu Shito-Ryu. That's the lineage going back through Mabuni, through Motobu. Yes, true, it's the only system that ties directly back. But really, the system is really Kuniba, because it has his fingerprint on every single technique, every single thought, everything about it. Because nothing was ever just done just to do it. Everything was done with specific thought and a specific mindset to it, why it would work, how it would work. So this was really important. So, sometimes you'll get a thing, someone will be teaching and someone will ask a question, "Well, why do we do it that way?" "Well, because, I said we do it that way. That's the way we've always done it." But he was never like that. It was always, "This is why we do it. This is how we do it. This is why it's going to work. This is why against bigger people it doesn't work. Smaller people, it does work." So the Goshendo, and two, even I see people now they'll say, "Oh, well, I'm doing Goshendo," and they're doing techniques, and they finish up with this big punch, But Goshendo doesn't have any punches in it, doesn't have any punches in the system and in the techniques. It has strikes, wrist locks, pressure points, falls, throws. It has a lot of diversity within it, but it doesn't have punching. So again, understanding that, that's, it's different. But the punching part is used sometimes because why? It's tied to the Shito-Ryu Karate Do. So that part, again, that's the small, fine line of crossover that I'm talking about where it crosses a bit and they touch each other. And even the weapon system is the footwork, the movement, and everything is directly related to the Karate Do. And I think originally when he learned the weapons and he learned judo, jujitsu, all these things, they were very traditional, right as that sensei taught him since he was 5 years old, and for till he's 20, early 20s. So it was very traditional. But what he did is from what he learned from each sensei, each system, he took the best parts and put them into what he did. And it's interesting. I think when you go back and you look some of these great martial artists, where you look back at Bruce Lee and he made Jeet Kune Do because he said, "Oh, well, I like the kicking of this. I like the punching of this, the handwork of this, the Wing Chun." So he took pieces and parts and made this system which encompassed all the best of all the things that he had learned, which becomes very dynamic. So it's very, interesting in that. And he was, a lot of things I see people today doing in the UFC and things like that. In the 80s, he was already talking about this. He was already doing these concepts and this training in the 80s, and I'm like, wow, that was so far ahead of its time, what he was doing and talking about and thinking about,
Yeah, truly. I mean, we talk about how he was a martial arts genius. I mean, I've never met anybody and trained under so many people, but never met anybody who understood the human body and how it can work and how you can use it against itself like he could. He was just amazing in how, again, his karate, his Goshendo, weapons and all, it all came together as one system. You had different martial arts, but it was a system that was all it was all the same. It was all like you said, it was the Kuniba way. And speaking of that, you have some branches of people who were with Kuniba from time to time, and you have some people say, okay, well, Motobu Ha is this, but Kuniba Ha is this, and they try to say that it's they're two different martial arts. To me, the one man taught it, and it doesn't matter which label you put on it, it's all the same. It's still our karate, from him. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, again, I'll go back to the main thing is obviously he trained personally with these great instructors. Okay, there was no, again, middleman, middle person. He learned directly from them, the Motobu Ha Shito-Ryu. All I think is the Kuniba Ha it's still that tradition, that lineage, all tied together. But he just developed his understanding and knowledge of it to make it better. All right. And again, I think it's all tied together. It's all one unit. But again, the Kuniba Ha is his flair, his understanding of the techniques. A lot of times when I go places and I've seen instructors and sensei and so forth, like the kata, they'll do a kata, demonstrate a kata, this kind of thing. The bunkai for it, leaves a little to be desired. And sometimes if they're doing it, most of the time it's pretty basic.
Right.
But really, some of the kata and the intricacies of of the movements in the hands and what you're doing. These techniques, they go back in some systems like the Wing Chun and things like that. There's, the techniques are secret, only taught to certain people and so forth, certain high level people. And I think that really existed here within this too. Because again, like I said, when we went to clinics and things like that, what he taught there was nothing like what we did at the dojo. It was two different things. And that's okay. That's good. That's all right. But it definitely was two different things. The Goshendo he taught at the clinics was not what we practiced at the dojo. So, and just because he didn't have enough time to be able to put all these things, into people's brains, he tried to piece by piece do it. And that's with the Goshendo coming along and making the kata and the concept of blending, is important. One thing I watch people sometimes do in the Goshendo now, or what they call the Goshendo, is they're doing, okay, I'm doing this lock and finish, but it's more of a jujitsu than it is really Goshendo. Goshendo is a flowing art. It's almost like jujitsu tied in with aikido, with judo. So it was a constant flowing. And I asked him and I talked about that sometimes, the power and this and that. But he said your arms have to be like a snake. Your arms won't be like wood. You don't hit something power hard to hard. When you make contact, your arm moves like a snake. So, and I thought about that and thought about that as he passed away and things like that. But really, what does it all tie down to? When your arm is moving like a snake, if it's on someone else's arm, it's moving in a small circular motion. Mm-hmm. And that is key to the whole thing with the Goshendo. Shito-Ryu Karate Do itself uses a lot of very fast and circular motions in the hand work, in the bunkai, to, I think that's kind of what it's the difference between maybe if some of the other, maybe Shotokan or Goju pure systems. And again, I love all the traditional martial arts systems. They're all fantastic. I don't care what you're doing, the Isshin-Ryu, Goju, Wado, whatever you're doing, it's all fantastic. It's good. They all have great, great history. And in the end, they all kind of come from the same place. So it's great. So I don't, people say, well, what martial arts better? I don't say anything's better than anything else, all right? I practice Shito-Ryu Karate Do. I have an affinity, and, that's where my focus is. But again, it's not saying, okay, Goju, anything else is not just as good. So I like the concept of that. But again, my focus is on what Shogo Kuniba taught and the Shito-Ryu Karate Do. And again, this circular motion, the theme ties through with the Karate Do. And even if you look at the weapons, it ties through with the weapon system too. EI, drawing of the sword, the Iaido, everything. If your arm's not moving, your hand, your elbow moving correctly with this circular flowing motion, it's not going to be good. It's not going to be, the draws are not going to be correct. The cuts are not going to be correct. So again, with the Goshendo, trying to teach people, okay, don't get caught in this idea, okay, I've got him in a lock and we're finishing him off, that kind of thing. Yes, you do. You can come to a finishing point, but when people are moving or fighting or wiggling around and stuff like that, you can't just get there and go, okay, I've got them. You need to be ready to move through to the next movement, position. Your body has to constantly be flowing. If someone's tall and they fall a lot, you have to move a lot. If they don't fall much, you have to move not much. So all these kind of things tie together. So some of the concepts and these ideas that he would talk about and teach, when he would be doing the techniques himself, he's actually doing them, but it's, the English translation from Japanese to explain that was very difficult to do. So again, a lot of my questions where I would ask him, literally his hands went on my arms went on his hands for him to show me. Because the Goshendo is a feel thing too. If you don't have good feel and body movement from the feel, it's very difficult. You won't be good at it. So again, some of these things, again, tie together the Karate Do, the Goshendo very closely.
Absolutely, no doubt. Great explanation of that. Now, going back to your career, your time in karate and all, this is always kind of a tricky question, but what do you think was your like your biggest setback or biggest failure that you had a big lesson from?
Um, God, if we went through that, I would be on here the next 5 hours talking with you.
We can keep recording.
I'd say I'll hit you with a couple interesting ones, I guess. A couple hard lessons to learn. I would say some of the things are injuries that I had.
Sure.
Because we practiced so hard, I got a lot of injuries and broken arms. My face got fractured, torn ACL. All my toes have been broken. My fingers, you know. So
you're a great advertisement for
things,
karate.
but again, that's not everybody practicing karate.
Right.
It's just not. It's not your regular person going to the dojo and stuff like this. Again, I was a little over the top with it as far as practicing.
No doubt.
And that kind of thing. And the training that we went through, we would have wooden sticks, dowel rods, and we would beat our shins with it. And to toughen our legs up, so when we swept people or kicked people and their elbows hit us, it wouldn't hurt, So my shin bones were like knots on top of them, and you just keep beating them until they, they don't have a lot of feeling. So you kick someone and their elbow hits your shin, you're like, I don't really care, it doesn't matter because I already practiced that. But again, I've had to change some of that in the training and teaching people today because people have to go to work the next day. Some of them have guys. I can teach them more strongly, but not everybody can do that. We can't do that because you got to go kids and work and stuff the next day, and you beat them up too much, and then they can't come back and train at the dojo. We don't want the injuries and stuff. So, again, like I said, I've trained, but I changed that training a little bit.
Sure.
So some of that, sometimes you question during these like the rehabs and stuff like that. Golly, should I keep doing this? So that's some of it. That's the physical part of it, I think. And then when Soke passed away, that was a very traumatic thing for me because he passed away. He was 57 years old. I mean, he could have easily lived 20 more years and it had only been 77,
Right.
So, wow, how much more could it have changed things if he would have lived to be, 20 more years old? I think the organization and everything would have been way different. And worldwide, I think things would have been way different too. But we can't go back and we can't change that. We can only do what we're doing now.
Right.
But one lesson I remember, I was young, probably 24, 25 years old. Again, like I said, we practice every day. Karate was 7 days a week, even Sundays. He always usually had a Japanese person living at his house, Takimasa or Kanji Kobayashi. So these young guys, they were 17, 18, 19, 20 years old. They'd be there staying, helping, assisting him. So we would go and, meet and practice kata and so forth on Sundays. So every day was a practice day. But so one time, I was working and we're gearing up for this tournament. And I was practicing hard, really hard, and really felt like I was on my game. Everything was really good, So I went to that tournament, and of course, like everybody, like our dojo, everybody won first place because everybody was outstanding, because everybody was practicing with him, and everybody was just super good, And so myself, I went and I didn't really do great in kata. And as a matter of fact, I lost to you in Kumite. In one of the early rounds. And I was just like a little mentally like out of it. It's like, what happened? because what I did at the dojo is not what I did here. And so I was just really, I was pretty good about that. So everybody in the dojo won, but me. I didn't win anything, you know, and I was kind of the top guy.
Yeah.
I was like, well, this kind of stinks. So I went home and I was like, man, maybe, I don't know, maybe it's a karate thing. I'm just going to take a little break, and I don't know if I'm going to keep doing this or not. So on Monday, I didn't go to the dojo. Tuesday, I didn't go to the dojo. Wednesday, I didn't go to the dojo. So on Thursday, I got a phone call, and it was from Soke. And he says, what you doing? He would always say, what you doing? And I just said, yeah, I'm just, you know, I don't know if I'm going to keep doing this a little bit. And, you know, he says, okay, just today, when you finish working, you come to my house. And I was like, okay. So at the time, he didn't even have his, he hadn't even moved into his regular house yet. He was still living in a condominium, him and Judy Kuniba. And so I go and I get to this condominium, and the front door is sitting ajar. And so it was kind of weird. So I just kind of opened the screen a little bit and looked inside, and I could hear the television, but it was kind of dark in there. And I was like, that's kind of weird. So I stuck my head in, and, you know, I said, Soke, and he didn't say anything. So I was like, uh-oh. So I went in a little further, and I looked, and there he was. He was sitting on the couch, and he was looking at the TV. And I was like, oh, okay. And he kind of points and says, sit down. So I go and sit down beside him, and I look at it, and he's got the videotape of the tournament, you and me doing kumite, and he's playing it. And he's playing it forward, and he's playing it backwards, and he's rolling it forward, and he's rolling it backwards, and he just keeps playing it and playing it. I'm just sitting there going, oh, boy, this is so bad. And so he's not talking to me. He's not saying anything. He just keeps rewinding it, playing it, rewinding it, playing it. So it probably went on for about 10 minutes, and I didn't say a word. He didn't say a word. And so then he stopped the machine, and he looks at me, and he goes, you know why you didn't do good? You know why you lost? And I go, no, I really don't know. He looks at me and goes, because you think you're better than everyone else. I go, oh, wow, that's kind of heavy. And so I was like, wow, that is heavy. So then he just talks to me a little bit, and he says, I expect you to do this, I expect you to do that, and this is what you're going to do. I said, okay. So he goes, now go to the dojo and teach. I go, okay. So I stand up and I start walking. He goes, oh, stop. He points to the TV. There's a first place trophy sitting on top of the TV. He goes, you take this trophy. And I go, oh, no, I can't. He goes, no. He goes, my number one student, not getting a trophy, that's no good. I go, okay. So I take the trophy, and he goes, next time, you'll get it yourself. And so when I left that day, I was like, okay, I will never again do a tournament. I will never practice again. I will never compete again for myself. Every time I do it, it will be for him. I will do it in his name for him to get the honor for it. And so that turned around, you know, when I went to tournaments and this and that, I was never nervous. I was never scared. I was never whatever. I went there and I could perform to my absolute best, just like I did in the dojo, you know. And I think that Seishinkai tournament went on, I think, for 6 years in a row. Kata, kumite, weapon, sword, Goshendo. I think every one of those divisions for 6 years in a row I won. But never one time did I ever, when I took the trophy, ever think that the trophy was for me. I was thinking I was getting it for him every time. So that was a hard lesson, but boy, it was a good lesson. It changed my attitude, and changed my that part changed my life, you know.
Yeah.
Again, that's the mentor, and that's him teaching and telling, and you eat your pride. You know, you eat your pride, but do what I tell you, and you'll be okay. And
leave
you know,
your
as a
ego
young
at the
man,
door.
25 years old,
Yeah.
it's hard to eat that pride sometimes. So.
Yeah, right.
But,
Especially as a young,
hard.
virile man, absolutely.
It's hard, but again, that's a lesson. I never forget it. I never forget it, and you know, I tell that story, and you know, that's the man changing my life and guiding me to where I need to go. So
Right, absolutely. Man, and that's, I mean, such a good story, and it's really, and I hate to say it, but it's about ego. It's getting rid of your ego
yep,
and understanding that there's a greater good for all of this, whether it be a tournament or, you're teaching somebody or whatever. We're you making ourselves better, but making others better. And
yeah,
I think that's a fantastic lesson. And to think that he understood you that well
yeah,
to be able to do that and turn you around from almost quitting karate.
yeah,
That's quite an amazing story, and quite his just understanding of you and all
yeah,
is just amazing. Yeah, that's fantastic. Really, really is.
yeah. Yeah, he had a great intuition and a great
Hmm.
understanding feel for people. And I think that's why, again, no matter where he went to a clinic, he went to a tournament, he went to a restaurant, every single person that was there could not wait just to be by him, just to talk to him, just to get to shake his hand. Just literally, when he talked to you, felt like, he understands me, how he talked to me. And he made everybody feel like that. He didn't ever,
Yeah,
yeah, go with the, I'm the Soki and everything. And it just made him very humane.
yeah,
When we went to Japan and things like that, uh, it was so different because, boy, when he hit the streets, man, he would always have four, five, six of these high level
he
Shihans
had an
behind him.
entourage. Yeah,
Entourage, man, and they walked behind him. No one walked beside him. They had these billfolds and wallets, and he might look in the window and go, "Oh, that watch is so beautiful," and walk up the street. Those guys were in there, and that watch was bought instantly. Lunchtime, he was getting presented whatever.
that didn't happen to
And
us. I don't understand.
but so I think it's quite interesting. So he knew that side of it, of being this revered person and never being able to let up, and never being able to relax. You
Right.
always had to be the Soki. And so I think that's what he liked in the United States. At the time I didn't play golf, but a guy named Greg Degnan, who was at the dojo, would always take him to play golf. And
Yep.
and I don't think he was the greatest golfer in the world, but my God, he loved to play golf,
Yes, he
man. This
did.
guy, he ended up with a million golf clubs because everybody in the world heard he wanted to play
Right.
golf. Boy, everybody wanted golf clubs. So it was fantastic in that regard. And so, he appreciated everything everybody ever did for him. He was very, very considerate for other people,
Yep.
and, he didn't have to be that way, he didn't have to be that way, but it's just, it was his nature to be a good person. So.
Yeah. Because he could have easily been this very standoffish, very staunch, kind of sensei
Yeah.
persona, and everybody still would have respected him tremendously. But he just
Yes.
was a great guy, and I can remember him would be in the dojo, and somebody would come in, or he'd meet that person, and of
Mhm.
course, the person would become enamored with him really, really quickly, and feel like oh, this is my new best friend. But he would
Yeah.
have, I remember him coming up and saying sometimes, that man, very good heart. So he could read people, extremely well. Just had
Mhm.
that intuition about him. Fascinating.
Yeah, that's very true. He did mention that a lot, and he definitely judged people, if it's a good person or not a good person, and so uh, he definitely had a good feel for that, a good vibe for that,
Hmm.
and it's like one thing you said too. Another thing about the Goshendo was that it didn't matter if it was a Taekwondo system or it was a Goju system or it was a Kung Fu system, whatever it was. He found sometimes when you went to clinics and you were teaching, if a guy has been practicing some style, if you practice Taekwondo for 15 years, he's not going to come to your clinic and change everything he's been doing for the last 15 years. It's just very difficult to do. So he knew the Goshindo was a way to tie together everybody so that
Right.
all the good people in this and all the people in that could be friends and acquaintances and work together. So the Goshindo was not threatening to anyone because they didn't know anything about it. So they could do their Taekwondo or they could do whatever system, a Nation system, and do Goshendo and still be tied together to him. And so that was one of the brilliant things about that too. Really, the way it operated, Seishinkai Karate Union, that was Japan.
Right.
So originally when he came here, he was Seishinkai Karate Union also. But it changed to Seishinkai martial arts so that it could encompass this Goshendo and these different things. And it didn't make someone feel bad. Oh, I don't know Shito-Ryu Karate Do, so I don't feel good about going to this clinic or whatever. I don't know what they're doing. He didn't make you feel like that. He's like, oh, no, you're coming to do the Goshendo. So you could come and do that and still do your own thing and still feel comfortable around him. And still he could be like, okay, that's good. We'll do this and tie everybody together. So that was his brilliance. And that was, again, not only just because of the martial arts part of it, because that brought people together. You know, that was the dojo family. That was the martial arts family. And a lot of people, a lot of teachers, instructors, they don't want that. You know, if you don't do what I do, we don't want you. We don't need you, you know. So I try, again, still to carry that on and be open-minded to people and think about, okay, this guy practiced 15 years for this. He practiced in this art. You know, someone put time in. They put their hard work. They put their effort into it, you know. It has to be respected too, you know.
Absolutely, no doubt. And he was great and made, like you said, making everybody feel like family, you know. Mm-hmm. So we talked about some of the downfalls you had. What do you think has been your greatest accomplishment in your training?
Well, you know, people, you know, that's a long list of things, I guess. And just thinking about it, it's being blessed to be at the right place at the right time. Why was I the person that got to be with him and learn from him and train with him just by, you know, a happening meeting, a happening of me saying, yes, I'll go to this dojo and watch. I could have said no, and I never would have saw him. I never would have met him, you know, and, you know, my life would have been changed. It would have been very, very, very different than what it is now. I've been doing this now for, you know, 41 years. I can't believe it. You know, I was going, you know, everybody else was the old guy. I was the young guy. I was practicing and training. But, you know, now, hey, you know, I am the old guy, you know, now. So really the key now is mentoring, helping, teaching, passing the art on. That's really what it's about. And, you know, some of the highlights, again, are just the opportunity to meet. You see pictures that have been coming up there. Mr. Hayashi and, you know, Kanazawa and all these, Mr. Sakimukai, who's the Jodo sensei, and Fumio Demura. And lots of these people would come to Soke's house and they would be just there with him. They were like his just friends, you know. Right. And the opportunity to meet these great martial arts legends over the years has been unbelievable because it's not something that people get to do, you know. And, you know, I'm so thankful for that. And being able to learn the history, the culture. Because, again, like I said, he always had Japanese people staying at his house, living at his house. So we were we dove into the culture, learning what the people are like, learning, you know, how things worked, you know, going to Japan with him, seeing how things worked, you know, that was always very interesting to me. So these things made a big difference. I remember one time I was at the Hanbu Dojo, myself and Sensei Giovanni Aguero were staying there. And Mama-san, who is Soke Kozo's mother, we were sitting on the couch. We were watching Japanese television, and we couldn't understand a word, but Giovanni and I were sitting there. And you've been there before. There's the couch and the two chairs. And so we're just sitting there, and there's a knock on the door. And I'm going to guess it's 9 o'clock at night, roughly, something like that. And the door, she gets up and opens the door, and it's Mr. Hayashi. And I'm like, what? I look, and he says something, and boom, he comes in the door. He's wearing his suit. You know, he comes in the door. Giovanni and I snap up to our feet, and he just says hello to us, and he just motions like to sit down. So we sit down. She goes over and prepares this little like a special tea tray for him, and he sits down and he's watching the Japanese television, and she's talking to him, and I'm like, when does Mr. Hayashi, Soke Hayashi, just drop by and say hello to someone, you know? So, we're like, what in the world, you know? So this was crazy. So to have the opportunity to do that and meet these great teachers, and in the United States too, so many great teachers, and Soke Bill Price, who's the head of the Chikubukai now, he was a long time, student and practitioner with Soke, and just a lot of people like that from all over the world, high level guys, and they were always great Shihans, and being able to learn history from Jim Herndon, people like that. So the knowledge and the opportunity to meet all the great people, and friends like you who I've known for a long time. The friendship that we have and sharing of the martial arts and the love of passing on the martial arts are great. The people in the other countries, I've been blessed to go. It doesn't matter if it's Mexico or Sweden or Japan or Israel, wherever it is, and teach martial arts. One time I was in Panama and I went down, I was working. There was a traditional dojo there. I went to the dojo and I went to the front, and the sensei was there, and I just said to him, I'm here, I'm working for a week, and my teacher is Shogo Kuniba. Da, da. And he's like, Shogo Kuniba? I was like, yeah. So he rings the phone up, and I'm sitting there, and he calls whoever it was, the head guy in Panama, and he says, he gets off the phone, he hangs it up, and he goes, I should present the dojo to you tonight, you'll teach. I'm like, okay, great. And so we went in there, and it was a real traditional Japanese dojo. It was awesome. It was really cool. So I went there 2 different nights and taught, and it was great. So being able to meet people like that and have friends all over the world, it's great. And, it's just a blessing. It's really a blessing. And just seeing how other people live and cultures and things like that, that's probably some of the greatest things from martial arts.
Couldn't agree with you more, because I mean, all the accolades, all the awards, whatever it may be, Hall of Fame trophies, etc., none of that compares to, like Soke said, having a Budo family, and the opportunity for us to have a Budo family worldwide is unbelievable. There's so many places we can go and be welcome to just because of that. That's definitely one of the best things of all. Now, a lot of martial artists, a lot of martial arts people probably may not be aware of your career as a professional TV cameraman. And can you tell us a little bit about what that's been like?
Yeah, I mean, I've been fortunate in that regard too. It's been a real blessing. I was, again, fortunate enough to meet some really great people that mentored me and got me in the right direction. And, I started out just doing grunt work and stuff like that. But there
Right.
was a
Look,
gentleman.
there you are in Egypt on the Discovery Channel
Yeah,
in a tomb,
yeah, yeah. That was it was right before COVID. We went over and opened up mummies that hadn't been opened for 2,000 years,
Wow.
and that was a great experience.
And it was
And
live too. It
it
was a
was
live
live,
show.
yeah.
Yeah, live show.
Expedition Unknown. Some people may have watched that show from time to time.
Yeah,
Josh
I didn't
Gates.
miss it.
So it's great, and he's got a show and it's still on. So
Right.
having the opportunity to go and do that, going to Egypt, and we were special guests of the government, and going down in these tombs, we'd climb down these shafts 60 feet underground, and then I would have to crawl through these holes that would be 40, 50 feet long to get into these chambers.
Wow.
Uh, Martial arts training helped me on that. I'll be honest too, it really did.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So that was interesting. But so yeah, I've been blessed enough to be able to do camera for some of the biggest shows in the world, a lot of sporting events, and MTV and ESPN and CBS, and yeah, there's Wayne Gretzky.
Yeah, there you go. The man.
I got to know really well, doing a bunch of celebrity golf and stuff with him. But doing the Super Bowl and NFL, and big college games, college football, and a lot of commercials. And I traveled around doing a lot of documentaries in South Africa and Russia, and being able to go to the Kremlin and St. Basil's Cathedral and Red
Mm.
Square, and
Wow.
again, doing interviews, with Winnie Mandela and things like that
Wow.
in South Africa. Yeah, a lot of cool stuff, a lot of really
Yeah.
interesting stuff.
A-
I've been very
And
blessed
now
in that.
you are partners in a drone company. Matter of fact, probably the the most important, biggest drone company really in the United States, one of the biggest in the United States, doing all kinds of professional sports.
Yeah, yeah, I'd say we're certainly one of the biggest in the professional sports market. Myself and my partner, we started this about 5 years ago. And the name of the company is Kazi Aerial, Japanese for wind, of course.
Of
I was
course.
looking for a good Japanese term that would really tie in and just uh, give us a good feel for. I wanted the Japanese culture included because I like the mindset and the feel of that in the business or anything that I'm doing. So that's been great, and we've been doing a ton of stuff. The PGA Golf Tour, the Masters, and we've really innovated over the last year and a half with the COVID. The COVID actually opened things up for us because there were no fans at sporting events, so it allowed us to get out and be able to do more free flying and without being around people or over people and that kind of thing. And so as people have come
Interesting.
back to sporting events, it's continued on. But we were at the U.S. Open last week, tennis, doing a bunch of work there. And the week before that, we were in New York doing Northern Trust golf. And then we're getting prepared. We're going to go do Alabama, Florida football next weekend. So, yeah, it's been great. It continues to grow. We're innovating and building new drones and new equipment that hopefully, you'll see on TV in the coming future. And, as we develop it and as it grows. So, it's really fun too. It's a lot like martial arts. It takes a lot of work. Uh, you really have to be dedicated to it, and
Right.
it's a lot of fun, man. It's a lot of fun flying
Yeah.
drones, getting paid. It's pretty daggone great. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that just sounds like work for play, play for work.
It's a
That's
lot of work.
yeah. I know it is. I know it is. Um, and you know the I just saw the pictures. Pulled up the pictures again from this year's U.S. Open, where you all did some very dramatic and very innovative drone work where at Pebble Beach, I believe it is, right off the coast there, and you're flying drones at like seagull level, to watch it from the cliffs and from the shores, and where before cameras couldn't get
Yeah,
those kind of shots. That was amazing.
that one was this year was actually at the PGA Championship in Kiwa Island,
Okay.
and CBS. And we did Pebble Beach also. That was a couple
Yep.
years ago. But this year at Kiwa Island, same thing. We're right on the coast. Uh, like you said, Kiwa Island's an amazing place. It's beautiful. Everything about it is fantastic. Anyway, but being able to fly drones and get these unbelievable shots out over the water and coming back in over the land and stuff. And then in this particular one, Phil Mickelson won it, and he was the oldest man to ever win a major. And the
Right.
people rushed the 18th green, and there were people everywhere. It's iconic shots and footage that will live forever in the history. 50 years from now, they'll still be showing it, and we were blessed enough to be a part of that. And so some of the shots that we got were just amazing. I would have never dreamed that we would have got them because you couldn't predict how that outcome was going to happen. So
Sure.
being able to get that and see that was amazing, and it was unreal being a part. And even this year at the Masters, uh, Matsuyama, Japanese golfer, the first Japanese golfer to ever win at the Masters. That was fantastic. And so we did all the drone work for that. So it was great being a part. And, Kazi Ariel and Matsuyama, the Japanese golfer, winning the Masters I was like, wow, this is really cool.
Yeah.
It's great. So, and then in the end, his caddy goes over and gets the flag and he bows to the course. And it's an iconic image that'll live forever. So it's just blessings to be part of some of these great moments in history and enjoying them. You know, I can't tell you how many times Tiger Woods won tournaments, and I was
Right.
the guy standing there, when he won the last one at the Masters and he came over and he was hugging his son, I was running that camera and I was doing that shot of him squeezing his son and
Wow.
his daughter, and comes and he hugs his mom, and it's kind of back 20 years earlier, he had come off and hugged his father, who had now since passed away.
Yeah.
So being able to be a part of history like that, and some of these iconic scenes and things that happen is really tremendous, and things that I won't ever forget. And again, it's hard work, but boy, it's a lot of fun too when you look back on it. So.
Oh, absolutely. And your hard work in that field has been recognized, and a lot of people probably don't know this, but you've been the recipient of not one, not two, not even three, but 4 Emmy Awards for your work in television. That just speaks volumes for your professionalism and your skill and all, of course. And so, in Kazi Ariel, like you said, you've been doing PGA and you did NASCAR, you did NFL. How do you think your martial arts practice and training helped you in your profession?
Well, I think the main thing it does is focus and the diligence and just keep working hard. Because a lot of days, like when we're doing drone and things like that, it's sun up to sundown. I mean, literally, almost every day it's a 15-hour day, and people will say, I work long days, but no, it really is. You'll go and you'll work a week on like one of these PGA golf tournaments, and you're going to put in 80 hours that week. And that's, again, like I said, you work sun up to sundown. And that PGA we were talking about, we were out. Yeah, we were on the beach and we're in 4-wheel drive vehicles going up and down, but it's 5:36 in the morning. You're headed out there.
Sure.
And you're working all day. You're out there until it's going to get dark at night. There's no breaks or anything like that. Whatever food's coming to you, and you just keep working through. So it's really the mental process of being able to push through. Like sometimes doing golf, you'll go out and the camera is almost 30 pounds. You walk 10 miles doing it. The most I ever did was the British Open. In 4 days, I walked 42 miles in 4 days.
Good grief.
So it's
wow.
It's hard. You start
Yeah.
walking at 8 o'clock in the morning, and you're going to finish walking at 8, 9, 10 at night.
Wow.
And you'll get a little break for lunch, and that's about it. The rest of the time, you're just carrying this camera and you're walking. And not only that, you got to be focused on what you have to do to get the shots and not
Sure.
disturb golf and things like that. So it's very physically demanding as well as mentally demanding. If you go and you shoot documentaries or shows, a lot of times if you're in a foreign country like Russia or South Africa or these countries, when you go, like in South Africa, they took us in an airplane, they dropped us out in Zulu land. We were out there for a long time,
Yeah.
and you're not going anywhere. Nobody's coming to get you or whatever. They're coming back to get you at 8 o'clock at night. The rest of the day, you're out there,
Wow.
And so some of these things, and like Egypt, when we were over there, because of the difference in the time, our show aired from 1 in the morning till 3 in the morning there. So we would have to work all night, overnight, every day. And so we would go back home. We'd work till 6 or 7 in the morning. A bus would take us back. We lived on the Nile River. And then we would sleep from about 10 till 2. And then we had to wake up and eat, and we had to go back on the bus because we had to get back there, 5, 6 o'clock again to work overnight again. So that goes on for 2 weeks. So, 4 hours of sleep, that's just it. That's the only amount of sleep there's going to be. You're not getting extra. And so it's really just mentally pushing yourself through it. Physically, you can do it, but mentally you have to do it. So I think that's really the thing is focusing on what you have to do and just as obstacles come along, don't let the obstacles, stand in front of you and keep you from doing what you want. Whatever your dreams are, martial arts training, any of these kind of things, don't stop. Just keep going. Just keep moving forward, little by little by little. You can't always make great jumps and great strides all the time, but if you just keep going forward a little at a time, you're good. Another thing, it's like, climbing a mountain. You're either climbing the mountain or you're coming down the mountain. Nobody gets on top of Mount Everest and stays on top of Mount Everest. I haven't heard of it. You don't get up there and say, hey, I'm just going to hang out here 2 weeks. It doesn't happen. You're climbing to the top or you're descending, coming back down. So just by continually making goals and moving forward, we continue to climb the mountain little by little by little. Once we stop setting goals, once we stop pushing forward, making ourselves do work, now we're coming down the mountain. So I think that's really just a good life lesson. You know, just keep pushing forward, keep working. Everything's not going to always go your way. It doesn't go your way a lot. So that's why you have a lot of adversity to face. And I think, you know, like kids today, I think, you know, with social media and so many things that are standing in their way, and they cause, you know, kids to doubt themselves or other people question you. When we were young, we didn't have that. You get to a Saturday, my mom said, hey, I'm vacuuming the house, 8 o'clock in the morning. Out you go. I'll see you at noon. You get your lunch. You head back out. I'll see you at 5. It's dinner time. Right. Okay, that's it. There were computers, no cell phones, no anything like that. The technology's great and it's awesome. I mean, you have to, you know, I do it today too, but you know, you have to have other things other than that. So I think for kids today, you know, setting small goals, moving forward little by little, you know, believing in yourself and having someone else believe in you. Like Soke believed in me. You know, it doesn't matter if it's the father or the mother, it's me at the dojo telling the kid, hey, I believe in you. I trust you. I know you can do it. Even if they fail, I keep telling them, I believe in you that you can do it. All right. Even if we haven't done it, I believe you can do it. So, you know, I think that's really what the martial arts can carry into regular life, and that's everyone at their job, and especially this, 18 months of COVID, and, you know, people losing their jobs and not having social interaction and these kind of things, you know, and the only thing they can do is Zoom calls and stay at home, and you can't visit people. You know, so a lot of that's been hard on people. So martial arts are thing to mentally help people get back in, and physically too, but the mental part of it, just giving them, if you can give a kid something that, okay, they can go, instead of getting D's in school, okay, they're only getting C plus, okay, if they can get an A, great, but if they can only get the C plus, that's okay, we made improvement, and that's all we're looking for. We're not looking for the F student to tomorrow be the A student. We're looking to put him on a path so he can get to D's and C's and B's and hopefully become an A student, you know?
Right.
So,
great life lessons and great advice. Yeah, and it's all about, you know, that perseverance. And I've always said that adversity and trials and tribulations, that's what builds character, you know? And so, you know, you actually have to suffer a little bit to get good, you know, no matter what it is. So you've got to push through. Good and great advice. Great advice. Now, and talking about your life, your personal life, oh my gosh, has taken quite a change over the last few years, hasn't it? You've married a wonderful lady, Charity, and some of your dreams have come true. You have just had a new baby boy this year, Lane. So how has the adjustment to family life been affecting you?
I got to say, it's pretty amazing.
Isn't he cute? Oh my gosh.
And that's our son, Lane. He's 7. You might hear him a little bit in the background here. He's actually
I hear him.
a little bit, so outstanding. But it's all changes for the good.
Absolutely.
You know, I've been a bachelor for a long time, so getting married definitely was a lot of changes for me. Just, you know, having someone else around all the time and having to do things for other people that, you know, maybe at night you might come home and just rest and relax and watch TV or do what you want, you know. But you come home now, and my son, he's got to have the baba, and, you know, and he wants to help, wants to look around and everything like that. So, that's been a big change, but they're really, really great changes. And, you know, having him, you look down and you see someone and go, oh, that's me, that's my father, that's my grandfather, you know, in this little guy, is truly, truly amazing. It's a great feeling. It's exhausting, and I got to admit, my wife and her mother do a great job of taking care of him. and really, just give me the best care possible. So, for me, it's a learning process. It was a couple weeks ago. I had 10 days straight when there was no grandma and mom was working, where I was off, but I had to take care of him for 10 days. So I had to learn the whole routine and help me. So, boy,
Dove into daddy
blessings,
duties.
blessings to all the moms and all the hard work they do taking care of these kids. God bless them. I mean,
Yeah,
it is hard work.
no doubt about it. No doubt about it. Well, this has been great, Louis. I can't tell you how much I appreciate it and appreciate you joining us today on the show on Black Belt Life. And I just got to say, it's just been a pleasure to know you as a training partner, a competitor, a travel companion many times, but most of all as a friend for so many years. And of course, we wish you and your family many wonderful and happy years together, and best of luck in all your endeavors.
That's awesome. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity to come on, and I really enjoyed it. It was fantastic. It's always great talking about old memories and just talking about the martial arts in general, because
Absolutely.
traditional martial arts is not quite as popular as it used to be. So we have to try to carry it on as much as possible, teach people, pass the art on, and it's a great thing. And again, yeah, just being friends with you and all the guys that I've been friends with over the years is just outstanding. I appreciate it so much. So again, thanks for the time, and it's been really fun.
Great, fantastic. Well, thanks so much, and thank you all for watching today. And we hope you've enjoyed it. If you did, hit that subscribe button so you see the next show and the next show after that, and hit the like button and all. And we appreciate it, and we look forward to seeing you next week on Black Belt Life.